It work?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Do we have any apologies for absence?
I think we've got apologies from councillors Schaefer and Harvey and from councillors Dutchbury and Leighton.
And Marvin Sanchez.
That's right.
Do we receive them?
Yeah.
Two, do we have any declarations of personal or prejudicial interest? No, thank you. I think these are, and do we agree the minutes of the Environment Committee meeting that were held on the 16th of February?
Yeah.
Lovely. So we'll go straight to item 4, which is budget. We'll have them on the agenda that was sent out by Paula, so.
They aren't finalised yet. We're going through year end at the moment, so still a few things to be moved around, but it's giving you a reasonable indication. There's still a few little bits to come out and tidy up.
I did have one question about the roundabouts. Roundabout number 1, but that they've started sponsorship partway through the year, or they've ended partway through the year. Okay, but then so for next year, it's going to hopefully continue. Cool. Any comments from anyone? Any questions?
Just thank everybody for keeping a good eye on everything and keeping everything running so well.
Agreed. Can we minute our thanks for everyone that looks after the budget? Thank you.
Yeah.
So item number 5 is policy development. So these are some recommendations from the Environment Working Group that we held on the 20th of March. And had also been discussed in the working group previous and has been worked on by the office. So 5.1, we've got the land hire agreement, which you will see the agreements written out and yeah, so the recommendations are that members note the current. Did you want to talk through it, please?
Can you go through the report? It's really well written by Nina, but it's just setting out a lot that we do already. So smaller groups that we allow to use the park, no fee. We're just setting out some guidelines and rules for if we get any interest in larger events in the parks, and just setting out some policies and fees.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is we need to have one in place so that we can't be accused of preferential treatment to anyone that wants to use or wants to hire parks. We kind of had quite a big discussion about which events should have to pay a fee, which kind of groups are going to need insurance and everything. And I think it's pretty comprehensive and pretty well covered. So the recommendations are members note the current list of events held within town council owned parks and green spaces, and that members review, provide comments on and recommend next steps regarding the draft land hire agreement and accompanying draft fee structure. So does this have to go to full count?
No, this was what you've got here is the original report that Lee sent to the policies working group. No, you are reading the right bit, but because it's a recommendation from the working group, you've got the original report that went to the working group for information as to what the recommendation was based on.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so to receive the report and to discuss and agree the land hire agreement policy. Those are the recommendations. Any Lisa and then Fran.
Yeah, I propose that we accept both recommendations.
Fran?
I second that.
Lovely. Any other comments before we go to the vote? All those in favour? That's unanimous.
A minute, our thanks to them, please. Just it's a very good report. Yeah, very. Yeah.
So moving on to 5.2, we have the dark skies policy. So this obviously came to Environment Committee, then went to the office. Steve did a lot of work making sure that we were kind of we were out of compliance. It then went to the working group. And I think it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So the most recommendation is We discuss and agree, thank you. Roger.
I was just wondering if, as part of this, have we spoken to Buckinghamshire Highways about street lighting?
This was very much about things that are within our
Control, yeah.
control and our delivery, so it's about our town council and how we would operate. Working group did talk about bigger issues around planning and highways, etc. But it was very much let's keep it to things we can actually deliver.
Yeah.
So we've got, I think it's section 9, says that in its role as statutory consultee, the council will encourage applicants to demonstrate compliance with relevant policies in the BNDP, as well as national and local plan policies, and we're also kind of promoting awareness. So I guess from that perspective, we can.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just wondered,
Yeah.
because their street lights are quite good actually. They just point.
The new ones.
Yeah, they're kind of sort of shielded, so they just point down rather than. Yeah. Lisa.
Thank you. I know this is like particularly for the applications that are coming to us, but I wonder if there's any way that we can also contact businesses or whatever that are very bright at night. Like Bourton Meadows School, for example, you open my front door and you could light my house. It's so bright outside, and this isn't street lighting, it's part of, as the school entrance, there's these 2 massive lights.
Yeah.
And even if those were taken out, it would make such a difference. But yeah, I just wonder if there's any way we can.
I mean, I suppose we potentially could pop that as an agenda item for the next meeting to maybe write a question or a letter to the school asking about their lighting from an environmental perspective. I don't think we could necessarily tell them to do anything, but we could certainly ask if there are any changes to be made.
Why don't we talk about outside the meeting and see what
Yeah,
the best
if there's any others that other people notice.
And I think some of them, if they are in conservation area, then it would be a planning committee issue.
Yeah.
I think that it's something that we possibly could do, agreed, a press release about, and possibly with our community engagement officer, try to reach out to businesses in order to try to mitigate other people's, because I'm like there's so many different aspects to it, aren't there? I'm like, it's not only the brightness of it, it's the use of electricity, it's the wildlife impact, etc. Isn't it? So I think that's probably somewhere I can scale it.
that would come under point 9, like you say,
Yeah.
which is promote awareness of responsible lighting practices.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's something
Yeah.
perhaps for CSSC to think about
Yeah.
for future newsletter as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good idea.
I feel like I basically we put a press release in this.
I'll second that. Oh, no, sorry.
Any other comments? Did we have a proposal and sending it to? Did you propose it?
I don't know.
You did. You did.
I thought that was the previous one.
But we have a proposal.
Oh, there's also no response to
We accept it. We go with it. Yes.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm moving to the vote, unless anyone has any more comments. Right, all those in favour of accepting the dark skies policy? That's unanimous.
Right, good job on that as well.
Very good, yeah, really good.
That's my latest.
No problem.
You're blowing all the candles out, took you some time. One week. Didn't get to account for lunch, so.
Item number 6 is the railway walk update. Receive a written update from the Buckinghamshire Council Principal Project Manager.
It's just received, Chair, it's obviously the letter that we've received, that just pass on for your information.
Yes, councillor.
There was an additional communication, was it fully in this, because that only came out last week, at the Burger meeting and stuff to discuss it. I think one of the things, I think we all have been involved in this project for indirectly a long period of time over this council.
Yeah.
I believe they wrote to the council about the elements around requalification order. And the possible timings around that not being in sync with the project. The two things are being treated apparently as separate. And the aspirations would be, which you can have a requalification order as a legal process and can't predict the outcome of it. But this council put the requalification order in. And one of our late councillors made our submission to it, councillor Isham, at the time, and so I think we do need to separately to this to make sure that we know what they, those who wrote submissions to their requalification order last summer were asked to give their submission. I think it showed how getting into spring now, how long that's taking. So my understanding is that it will be treated as a right of way, but not included in the funding package. So we may wish to consider that at a later date, how we resolve that pending the outcome of that order. But the whole thing, there was a change, I believe, on the A41, but not a change on the Tinswick Road, which reopens our discussions once it's completed, because one presumes that a crossing will have to have lights, and it reopens our ability to do that without being a long hold feeling that 30 mph is probably too fast that road. But that's a future thing we need to bear in mind, because all of them are separate items. So once we've completed this, we need to look at it again. We were very sharply defeated on that, but I do think it's nice that we're going to crossing. They didn't take up the suggestion of digging the was suggested earlier on that they perhaps experiment digging out the old tunnel under the road, but it's still there. The actual bridge is still there technically under the road, which would have made a nice straight through way for the people in Boundary Drive, but maybe that'll be another day. But I do think this is something that we should comment on when it's clear, because quite frankly, it was this town council that would work at Catherine who actually worked on it to make sure we got it into section 106 and the neighbourhood plan. And when it's delivered, I think it's a big success for the town council, above all by anybody else parts involved in it. So I do think it's a major thing for this community. And it was part of our green corridor thing, it was part of the 2015 neighbourhood plan, and the idea was to encourage people to get out of their cars and go. So I think when it does, we do need to make sure we have a communication in it, that the Buckinghamshire Council.
Yeah, so I think the main changes that they've stated in the letter are, as you said, so the part that goes over the Buckingham University car park is now outside the scope of the project, because, and I assume that's due to the modification order process taking so long that they've just decided to go ahead with what they can. And there has an extension of the funding deadline to March 2027, which gives slightly more breathing room. And as you said, a slight change at the Tesco end, where rather than doing a two-lane crossing, they'll now look to do an informal crossing by over Meadway. So yeah, it's progress, even if it's just a little bit of progress. So that's positive. Does anyone have any more comments or questions, Heather?
I had a question. When it says that the university car park is out of scope, does that include the bit from the university park to the scenic walk? Because that is the narrowest, slopiest, bumpiest bit of the whole route.
It will be whichever bits are owned by the university.
I mean, that cobble bit.
Yeah, the
Oh, so that the original.
I think that's by the uni.
That's all owned by the university.
So are they going to do anything to the bits that they own?
They can't do anything to the bits that the uni own until that route modification order is agreed, as far as I'm aware, councillor Stutchbury.
I've really changed what I'm trying to allude to, because there's going to be, if the route modification order went through as we'd like it to, which is the wrong right way, not the missing right way. I think it's in the scope of this council to look at it again along principles of development contributions to try and finish the route as we would like it to be. That has got huge drainage issues in it, in the sense that the station, there's, you know, it's in the winter, it's a semi-pocket area. And also the drainage from that station drains back from it out onto the London Road, follows the station road, station road, I mean, follows station road thing. So that land on the outside, against the university's land. But I think we're gonna have quite a tardy job to get through that route modification order. But I think the principles for some, if it was to come through, that we'd look at it at a later stage to resolve that issue. Because it's silly that you want to cycle along at a reasonable speed, then go through a rocky bit, then get to a reasonable speed.
Disabilities as well, I think.
And the economy is
Yes, like wheelchairs and
so I hope that, and have as members a discussion around that. I think providing an opportunity to come through with you, just things like that. That's where I feel we're going to have to go. I don't think Bucks is going to copper that money. And tomorrow there's a meeting on SIL and section 106, which might be in the Buckinghamshire plan, which I do believe from my correspondence. People are attending the Buckingham Council. So we do need to consider these things, because they won't get considered in Buckinghamshire. And
But also the platform part of it was going to be protected, wasn't it, as a feature?
I do believe it is on the heritage list already. Okay, any other comments or questions before we move on to the action list? A bit, okay, so next agenda item is the action list.
Can I just ask, Buckingham Primary School, and what was their application?
So I believe they wanted to change the speed limit by the school, didn't they?
They want to talk about speeding and parking, and they've invited members, this was quite a while back, invited members to come down and have a look at what's going on. So I did email around some time ago and ask who wanted to be involved, and those that said yes have been invited to attend on the 22nd.
All right, is that, what's the name, is it Woodlands Crescent? Goes up to the school.
Highlands Road, and the other side on,
Girls from the school, so you got to I'll tell you what is a good idea, sorry. Years ago, I was a governor at Bourton Meadow when it was just that sort of operated. And we introduced, we had 2 weeks in the summer of walking to school week. And it worked quite well. There was a few complaints and things, but we notified parents that we weren't allowed to drive to school. So, and 90% supported it, because we got all those yellow parking bars from the police. To put them all on the road, and it worked quite well. So yeah, I mean, it's worth a starting point.
Yeah. Robin and Lisa.
just to run through the last item on it, going forward, report to committee following the publication of the neighbourhood plan framework. But so I'm perhaps not entirely sure is going to be.
It's not a neighbour, it's nothing, it's not planning, it's, remember when Swan Practice came to talk to us about integrated management teams and neighbourhood prescriptions, etc.
Would I make a suggestion for you then that the big thing which might be included in the word is the 10-year health plan, which the 10-year health plan is something which is not on there, but
It's not that.
no, because that's the real big thing is the 10-year health plan, which will mean the hospital may change and
This was about social prescribing and things that we could do to support Swan Practice.
we just okay work because it's a neighbourhood framework.
Could we put a little clarifying?
Because it didn't, I mean, we do lots of discussion, but it was 24th of the 11th, 2025, so I mean,
Even if we just put in brackets, it's.
IMT or something.
yeah, because it isn't clear.
It's not, sorry, is that, can I just say, is that something we're waiting for this Swan Practice?
No, we're waiting for, I think it's NHS England.
Okay, right, thanks.
To be fair, there is a lot of work going on now, that does attend quite regular meetings on it, so there is talking and discussion going on. But well, yeah, the framework is an ongoing project.
Thanks.
Thank you. As Roger's got some background and experience of primary schools and parking, I wonder whether he'd like to join in from our little group, because it's just following on what we did at Bourton Meadow, like with our little clickers and seeing how many are parking badly and how many are parking illegally and idling. So it might have some insight maybe that we could put to use.
I will send you an email.
This meeting at Buckingham Primary has been requested by them, it's not. So it's, they've asked us to go up there and
I think it's doing parking.
that is to do traffic speeding.
Yeah, we did something else.
But you don't need to, so anyway.
I'll send you the email then.
Yeah. Robert.
Yeah, okay. Firstly, thank you for the clarification. No clerk on the last night, I think I'll write to the town clerk and just have, because I think that one of the agreements of this committee was health. We're fortunate with Dr. Gabriel's role representing all GPs in Buckingham. We're just looking at that. The 10-year health plan, he has a good understanding of what the aspirations are for Buckingham. And I think this is the community best placed to understand those things, as much as they are ready to be discussed, because once these health centre, which is totally the responsibility of John Happy's medical councillor, put any money into that, despite what so I think they're right, because I think that's something maybe we could write to him ask, because I think that is an important topic, because when it happens, the town council will want to know, and it's all quite good news, to be honest. So
You can write to me and do you want to take it from there?
Yes.
and how we see, we totally rely on Dr. Gabriel's ability to be able to talk to us.
Yeah, yes, we're obviously straight
Not on
on.
the agenda, but I think it should.
Yeah. Anything more from the action report? Okay, and I guess we'll move on to the Buckingham Community Wildlife and Climate Emergency Group received the notes of the meeting held on the 25th of February.
It is a wonderful group and there's lots of interesting things going on there, and I noticed the other day that we originally started the group 21 years ago.
Wow.
When we had the events that BTCB had in the different parks and things. But it's wonderful that it's still going on, and we've added the climate emergency and there's lots of new people involved as well. Thank you.
Rich.
Yes, Robin.
Propose that we. That we. Find a little bit of detail of who's involved in it, you know, but I think, to be honest, it's been one of the town's big successes over that period of time, and most of it's been mostly voluntary. And I know we've recognised individuals in the past, but I do think it'd be worth, but we can have a bit of the history that was there now, because it has changed somewhat. And every time it's changed, it brought something difficult, well, not difficult, difficult. So it shouldn't be just noted. I think it is a major, it has been a major benefit to this council, but it's probably saved us tens and tens of thousands of pounds. Monetary work.
Yeah, it's the town council, the Buckingham Society, the Railway Walk group, and the Canal Society.
Fran.
I'd like to thank everybody that's involved in that, and particularly for to Councillor Neil for very comprehensive notes on that meeting. I think it's the first time I've actually seen certainly the first time I remember seeing notes of the meeting. There's certainly a lot going on. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff in notes, but these ones will be most up to date ones.
Any other comments or questions? No, we'll move on to news releases.
So just the one about the gas policy, please.
Yep.
Moving on to item number 10 on the agenda, which is chair's announcements. I do have one announcement, but it is a special day today. One of our members, it is happy birthday, Robin.
Thank you very much. We touched actually. Very much.
Very welcome.
And very much Kate person.
I have a knife and some napkins.
If you did want to share.
Is appropriate. I'd love to share it if there's a nice community. And do better to share it with people here. Thank you. And I think it's lovely that people do that with your game.
It's the one constant in life.
Yeah, it might not be any more sure, but you're really getting older.
Thank you, Robin. Now on that, I'll say the date of our next meeting, which will be Monday, the 8th of June. And we're done.
Thank you.
That's what I'm doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll take that.